In March 2026, the global music industry didn't just witness a comeback, it witnessed a shift. When BTS returned to the stage as a full group after years of hiatus, expectations were already at an all-time high. Fans anticipated emotional reunions, powerful performances, and a celebration of everything the group had built over the years. And yet, something unexpected began to unfold. Amid the excitement, the cheers, and the overwhelming global attention, a new narrative quietly emerged, one that centered not on the group as a whole, but on a single figure within it, Jungkook. What started as subtle observations quickly turned into a global conversation. Fans noticed changes. Critics began analyzing. Media outlets started highlighting a recurring theme: transformation. But what exactly changed? And why does it feel so significant this time? To understand that, we have to look beyond the surface and follow the story as it unfolds. In March 2026, the global music industry witnessed the long-awaited return of BTS, a moment that had been anticipated for years by millions of fans around the world. The stage was set, the expectations were high, and the spotlight was brighter than ever. But as the comeback unfolded during the Arimang concert, something unexpected began to dominate the conversation. It wasn't just about BTS returning as a full group, it was about change. More specifically, Jungkook's transformation. From the moment Jungkook stepped onto the stage, the shift was noticeable. Fans across the world immediately reacted. Social media platforms were flooded with comments pointing out something different about him, something more refined, more controlled, and more powerful. There was a new level of confidence in the way he carried himself, a calm intensity that didn't need exaggeration. Instead of chasing the spotlight, Jungkook seemed to pull it toward him effortlessly. In earlier eras, Jungkook's performances were defined by explosive energy and youthful dynamism. He was fast, powerful, relentless. But in 2026, that energy had evolved. His movements became more precise, more intentional. Every gesture felt calculated, not in a rigid way, but in a way that showed mastery. Fans began describing his stage presence as magnetic and commanding. Jungkook has always been known for his vocal strength, but during this comeback, listeners began noticing something deeper. His voice carried emotion in a more layered way. There was softness where needed, power when it mattered, and seamless transitions between both. It wasn't just about hitting the notes anymore, it was about telling a story through them. Years had passed since BTS last promoted as a full group. During that time, Jungkook experienced growth through solo work, global exposure, and personal development. And that growth was visible. Time had refined him. Experience had shaped him. The result was an artist who returned not just improved, but transformed. Fans also noticed a clear evolution in Jungkook's visuals. His styling reflected maturity. His expressions were more controlled. His overall aura felt stronger and more intentional. This shift aligned with BTS's new concept in the Arirang era, one that blends tradition with modern global influence. Jungkook didn't just fit the concept, he elevated it. Perhaps the most significant transformation was in his energy. In the past, Jungkook's performances were explosive and full of youthful intensity. Now, that energy had matured. It was still powerful, but more controlled. Still expressive, but more focused. This balance created a deeper impact, one that didn't just impress, but stayed with the audience. As the concert progressed, the narrative began to shift. Fans were no longer just celebrating BTS's comeback, they were analyzing Jungkook's transformation. Online reactions began to reflect this. He feels different. This is a new version of him. The growth is unreal. What started as individual observations quickly became a global discussion. What makes this transformation stand out is that it goes beyond improvement. This isn't just about getting better at performing, it's about becoming something new, a more complete artist, one who understands not just performance, but presence, emotion, and connection. As the comeback continues to unfold, one thing becomes clear. This transformation may only be the beginning. Jungkook is entering a new phase of his career, a phase defined not just by talent, but by identity. And as BTS moves forward into this new era, his evolution could play a key role in shaping what comes next. With all eyes now on Jungkook, one question continues to grow. What does this transformation mean for the future? For BTS, for global music, and for Jungkook himself? If there is one thing this comeback has proven, it is this. Jungkook has changed. Not suddenly, not randomly, but through years of growth, experience, and evolution. And now, the world is seeing it clearly. As fan reactions continued to flood social media, the conversation quickly expanded beyond the fandom. Music critics, industry analysts, and global media outlets began to examine Jungkook's performance more closely. What they saw was not just improvement, but positioning. Within the structure of BTS's comeback, Jungkook appeared to carry a noticeable weight, vocally, visually, and emotionally. This sparked a new discussion. Was this transformation simply personal growth, or a sign of a larger role in BTS's new era? Almost inevitably, a familiar topic resurfaced: the idea of the center. While BTS has always emphasized group unity, fans began debating whether Jungkook's presence in the comeback placed him at the forefront more than ever before. Clips highlighting his screen time, vocal distribution, and key moments in performances began circulating online. Some fans argued that his role felt more prominent. Others emphasized that BTS remains balanced as a group. But one thing was clear: Jungkook had become central to the conversation. What makes Jungkook's evolution so compelling is that it didn't happen overnight. This transformation is the result of years of performing on global stages, years of refining his vocals, years of navigating fame, pressure, and expectations. From debut to global superstardom, his journey has been gradual but consistent. And now, in 2026, those years of growth are becoming visible all at once. Before this comeback, Jungkook had already established himself as a powerful solo artist. His solo releases, performances, and global recognition allowed him to explore his identity outside of the group. That experience appears to have reshaped his artistry. Now, as he returns to BTS, he brings with him a stronger sense of individuality, without losing the essence of the group. This balance is rare, and it may be one of the key factors behind his transformation. Another noticeable change lies in how the global audience perceives Jungkook. Previously, he was often introduced as the youngest member or the main vocalist. Now, those labels feel insufficient. He is increasingly being seen as a standalone global artist, one who can command attention both within and beyond BTS. This shift in perception reflects not only his growth, but also his expanding influence. One of the most fascinating aspects of Jungkook's evolution is its subtlety. There was no dramatic announcement, no sudden change. Instead, the evolution revealed itself through details: a glance, a pause, a controlled movement, a refined vocal line. These small elements combined to create a powerful overall impact. And in many ways, that subtlety made the transformation feel even more real. As discussions around Jungkook's performance continue, another idea begins to emerge. He may be setting a new standard, not just for himself, but for performance within BTS and even the wider K-pop industry. A standard defined by precision, emotion, control, and authenticity. If this becomes the new benchmark, its influence could extend far beyond a single comeback. As this chapter of the story reaches a turning point, one final question remains. What happens after transformation? Because evolution is not an endpoint, it is a beginning. For Jungkook, this comeback may represent a new phase, one filled with greater expectations, larger opportunities, and even deeper artistic exploration. For BTS, it signals a future shaped by both collective strength and individual growth. And for the world watching, it is a reminder that even after years at the top, change is still possible. Jungkook's transformation is not something that can be fully understood in a single performance. It is a story still unfolding, a journey still in motion. And as fans, critics, and the global audience continue to watch closely, one thing remains certain. This is not the final version of Jungkook. It is only the next one.